2008 brought the New Zealand Rally crown to Hayden Paddon for the first time. The young South Island driver amassing enough points to claim victory with 1 round left to run. But former champions Richard Mason and Chris West both challenged Paddon throughout the year, only to be sidelined with costly mistakes and retirements. In 2009, new regulations, new drivers and new cars, and 4 former champions will battle with a record number of competitors for the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally title. Welcome to sunny Hawke's Bay, home of New Zealand's premier vineyards and the sunshine city of Napier, the Art Deco capital of the world, nestled on the shores of the Pacific Ocean and bordered to the north and west by rugged highlands. This is the home of the Taumoana Warehousing Rally Hawke's Bay. It's round 1 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. The rally start held at the Napier Sound Shell. Despite fears that the world financial crisis would restrict entry to the championship, new regulations allowing the entry of older cars meant that a record 32 cars had entered for round 1. Hayden Paddon back to defend his title, but the crowd interest lay with 3 brand new Evo 10 Mitsubishis making their debut. Trevor Taylor once again back in the official role as lead car. Young gun Sloane Cox had a new car for the season, already claimed the title with a hill climb and a pre-season shakedown. And championship rookie Kingsley Thompson making his move up to championship level in an Evo 10, completed by Neil Allport Motorsport just days before the rally. So the crowds were ready, the cars were ready, but the drivers were still out finishing reconnaissance.
Hayden, the first rally of defending your title.
Yeah, it's a good position to be in. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a challenge this year. Richard and the rest of the field are going to be chasing pretty hard, and I guess now we're the man they're trying to catch. So, we've got a bit of speed to find yet. We proved last year we were consistent, so this year's all about developing our speed and consistently being at the front.
Great to see the young South Islander from Geraldine back to defend his title, and also doing part of the Asia Pacific Rally Championship too.
Then we'll do the flag waving for us.
His main rival, Richard Mason, broke down in last year's rally, one of several DNFs which plagued his campaign, so 2009 is all about finishing.
Can we make it? All right, minus.
You know, we had really good speed last year, and hopefully this year we're going to carry on with that and put some more consistency in there with it to win the championship.
Had a look at the roads. What do you think?
The roads look really good. It's quite a mixture, really. Some have got no gravel at all on them, and other ones are quite heavily gravelled, so it's not a bad mix.
After selling their Evo 9 at the end of last season, the Andrew Sims Mitsubishi Rally team had hoped to debut a new Evo 10, but driver Chris West has instead had to put together a deal to lease an Evo 8.
Yeah, I tell you what, really the last 10 days have been a blur, to be quite honest. And, I have to thank the guys at Rally Out and, preparing this car in 4 days before they headed away to Portugal last Friday. So it's a top effort from everyone. And, like you said, we only really made it in the nick of time. And it's part of the guys that are with Castrol, along with our existing sponsors and Rally Out and Andrew Sims Mitsubishi. We had Axside and the Mad Butcher come along. And just make the package workable, and hopefully we can continue for the season.
Despite the delay, the start has attracted a large crowd, which is pleasing for Trevor and Stuart Taylor, who sponsor the event. Trevor running the Zero car again, while Stuart returns with his brother in last year's Evo 9.
No, we're happy with the exposure we get. I mean, there's a lot of people down here tonight supporting the rally, supporting sport in Hawke's Bay. So, no, we're rapt to be able to continue our support.
Keeping it in the family because Logan co-driving.
Yeah, he's come out of retirement. It's probably been about 3 years since Logan's been in the car, but Warwick wanted to pursue other things, and Logan's keen to give it another go. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. It could be a bit rusty to begin with, but we'll come right.
Jeff Argyle will lead the older open class cars, competing for the first time right alongside the production cars in the championship. But for now, let's check out the Vantage Aluminium Stage preview with Emma Gilmore.
Special Stage 1 of Rally Hawke's Bay is the famous Darkies first stage, this year run in the reverse direction. Renamed Waipunga, the stage starts fast and flowing through farmland and finishes down the infamous piece of road with the amazing views and huge drops. A small tour up the road towards Wairoa and we head into the traditional Rally Hawke's Bay stage, Mohaka Forest. This is a great forestry stage. It starts fast on a wide road and then becomes narrower and also quite slippery in some spots. With an early start, there is potential for sunstrike in these two stages, along with hanging dust, as then it may not be a lot of wind and we're running at 1 minute intervals. After a short service at the forestry headquarters, we head out to special stage 3, Peteri. At almost 35 kilometres long, it is the longest stage of the rally. It's like a new stage for us this year, as it has been traditionally run in opposite direction as the Waihi stage. It's always been a favourite of mine as it has so much variety. Super fast sections over crests, tighter technical sections, steep descents and hill climbs, and lots of gates as we work our way through different farms. It's fantastic. Special Stage 4 is another Hawke's Bay favourite, Hera Hera Tau, again run in reverse direction this year. This stage is very tricky, narrow in spots, yet still very, very fast. A couple of tight fords and also a couple of narrow bridges. Definitely keeps this stage interesting. After our midday service in Wairau, we still have 3 stages to complete. It'll be quite a difficult tyre call here as we have 2 county road stages and 1 very slippery, muddy forestry stage. Stage 5 Cricklewood is another famous Hawke's Bay stage run in reverse direction. At almost 28 kilometres long, this is another stage that is just an absolute buzz to drive. The start of it is like being on a roller coaster, as it's high-speed corners with big camber and up and down a ridge line. When you get the corners just right through here, you just can't help but smile. It's awesome. The following stage, Woodlands, is an 18-kilometre long forestry stage that hasn't been run for a long time. The road isn't in the best condition, it has a mud base and most of it is under trees. It's the slowest stage of the rally, with the longest straight probably being only 100 metres or so long. Stages like this can be really tough to compete on as it requires a lot of concentration, the cars can overheat because we're going so slow, and you can't help but look in your mirror as it feels like you're driving that slow that you're going to get caught by the person behind you. Last stage of the day is Mohaka Coach, another famous Hawke's Bay stage, this time run in the same direction as we've always run it. Long straights at the start, then tightens up through the middle. Generally there's always a lot of loose gravel around and the cars running later in order will have a bit of an advantage.
Saturday morning dawn fine and conditions just perfect as the cars headed to stage 1 Waipunga, the stage known as Darky Spurs. As defending champion Hayden Padden will be first on the road, and as with every rally stage, you must first check into time control to get a start time. In 2009, the cars following Hayden will start at 1 minute intervals, but for Hayden at number 1, there is a 6-minute gap between him and the zero lead car of Trevor Taylor. And the early morning road conditions, Roger Davis.
Well, the road conditions look pretty good here. Hayden's not going to act as the road sweeper through this stage. One of the things, though, it's fairly early in the morning. Maybe the sun coming up will be a bit of a problem through here for some of the drivers.
Opens 50.
Just 1 minute later, Richard Mason will start. Thumbs up from the former champ. If any of the roads are dusty, this could cause him some problems. Very little wind, too, to disperse that dust.
Well, we see early on in the stage here, dust really isn't a problem, and probably this early in the morning, I don't think it is going to be a problem. Once again, already Richard Mason driving with commitment and some speed.
Not the Evo 10 that Chris West had wanted to start his campaign with, but this Mitsubishi Evo 8 is a left-hand drive car. And it's been a few seasons since Westy campaigned his left-hand drive Subaru, so predictably, bit of a adjustment for the Christchurch driver.
Yeah, well, already looks like there's some problems in the car with a gear lever, a gear shift problem.
Stu Taylor had high hopes of a top finish in his home rally, but he had an early retirement after hitting a bank 2 kilometres from the start. Dean Sumner also had high hopes after some positive off-season testing. And that had helped him develop a good package.
Well, as we said earlier about the sun, and you can see it there, the sun could be a problem for some of the drivers. The other thing with the drivers is they experience a little bit of problem with the pace notes, getting used to the new system, and Dean is one that's experiencing problem as we see him coming down here with probably a bit of commitment downhill.
Try 3 right and 3 left. Just try this one, kicks 4 left plus. No.
Well, you can see there, Paul, a little bit unsure, so they are really struggling with these notes.
Emma Gilmore's another driver who's benefited from off-season testing with back-to-back testing with her Motor Image APRC teammate Cody Crocker. Back on stage, Padden has reached the impressive Darky Spur part of the stage with all those spectacular drops.
Well, spectacular drops and also the big downhill section that he's on now. And this really brings the best in a rally driver. A good rally driver goes very fast downhill, but it will be hard on the brakes on the car. You see Hayden snatching the brake there as he comes over the bridge.
And it's time for stage 1, 14 minutes, 46.2. So can Richard Mason match that time here? He talked pre-rally about pushing hard on the downhill sections. Let's see what he does.
Well, the road's just been graded, so it could be a little bit slippery down here, but Richard looks pretty smooth. He'll want to really set up the rally by a fast time through this first stage.
Down towards the stage end, looks pretty good.
Certainly does, Clint. I think he's on a flyer here.
14:30.9. Wow, 15 seconds quicker than Padden. Jeff Argyle's the first of the open class cars. Older, less sophisticated, but a little bit more power. And the old champ was showing he'd lost none of his pace. Second fastest, 14 minutes, 42.6 seconds. Emma Gilmore was fourth fastest, but 22 seconds down on Mason. Still a positive start to her season.
Well, as the new championship dawns with these nice shots, Emma's carrying on with the momentum she had towards the end of last season.
And a great start too for the rookie Kieran Hall in his Subaru. Hall has come from the Rally Extreme ranks. This was an impressive start for him in his first test in the championship. Fifth fastest. Sloane Cox is not a rookie this year, but his car is. The Evo 10 has only just made their WRC debut, and on their New Zealand debut, Sloane is about 30 seconds down on leader Mason. But rookie Kingsley Thompson is the second Evo 10, just 3 seconds behind. Two other rookies in the top 10 at this stage. Matt Jensen, one of 3 Christchurch drivers, have entered the championship this year. And Stephen Barker, who's driving a much older Evo 4 Mitsubishi in the open class and surprised everyone with his early pace.
Watch it, 3 bridge, watch it.
Well, a little bit of a tricky moment there for Steve Barker, but the Evo 4, not as sophisticated as the later model cars.
And to prove a point, an interesting top 10 after stage 1. Richard Mason really laying down the gauntlet here. Argyle showing he's lost no pace, and the rookies coming to the fore.
And the 2 Evo 10s in 6th and 7th place, and Matt Jansen from Christchurch in 8th overall at the moment.
Coming up, the drivers will be 200 Ks flat out downhill. That's why they love Rally Hawke's Bay. Welcome back. A forestry stage now, and one well known by the experienced drivers. Hayden Padden first through, and you can see here in the early part of the stage, this road is a highway for the logging trucks which haul out the trees every day. Padden's time, 16:32.9, a lot slower than his stage record. Mason had an 11.7 second lead after stage 1. If he gets ahead again here, Padden will find it very hard to peg it back.
Well, Richard's on the narrow section now, and some of the drivers really like the narrow section because they can gain a lot of time. Other drivers don't like it so much, but Richard here looks like he's on a charge. But again, look at that sun. It's in his eyes at the moment.
But his time's actually slower, so the lead is now down to 8.1 seconds. Jeff Argyle dropped some pace through the stage with a small gearbox problem, so he dropped to third, 15 seconds behind Padden. Emma Gilmore just under a second behind Argyle on the stage, so she maintains fourth. And after a slow start, Glenn Inkster was fifth fastest through the stage. Inkster's another one of the open class competitors in his older Evo 6. He comes into the championship event with top finishes in the Rally Extreme Series.
Well, also the car makes a return back to the championship because this is the ex-Andrew Hawkswood car, and in Andrew's hands, this car won a few championship rallies. It's great to see the Group A cars back in the championship.
Mechanical problems for Kieran Hall on this stage dropped him from 5th to 20th. Sloane Cox was having pace note issues, and he dropped 3 places to 9th. And with a time of 17 minutes 05, Matt Jansen moved into 5th place. A good start for the Christchurch rookie. So confirming the top 5. Mason still leads, but Patton has closed the gap. Matt Jansen with that excellent start, 5th and 1st rookie. Of course, there was also a battle for the two-wheel drive classes, this year divided into 3 classes with the Fiestas, the open two-wheel drive, which includes the Kiwi 2 cars, and the return of the classics. After winning the class last year, Patrick Malley has competed in the World Fiesta Challenge in the UK and entered the Fiesta Challenge in the British Rally Championship. So no surprise that he was the fastest on stage 1 and 2 despite losing his way here.
Oh, looks like he turned in a bit too early. Maybe he's got some pace note problems, Clint.
So a bit of time lost there for Patrick Malley. No one can hide the truth of that shot. Former Kiwi 2 champ Aaron Cook was his closest competition. He heads the open class. Just. Marcus Van Klink brings some variety to the class with his Toyota Corolla with a sequential gearbox. But engine problems later on would sideline him for the day. Daniel Harris is another rookie and the second Fiesta driver after the early retirement of Ben Hunt. This magnificent RX-7 is the second replica of Rod Millen's American Championship car, built by his former employee Richard Kelsey. He was top classic. Ewan Fuge made it a Mazda 1 and 2 with his RX-3. While defending champ Rob Wiley was third in that awesome-sounding Nissan. Service time at the Mohaka Forest headquarters. Richard Mason full of confidence after the morning stages.
Yeah, that's a good start for us. The first one was unexpectedly good. Stage 2 was in the forest, and I just wanted to make sure that we didn't knock it round or hit anything in there. I could see Hayden's lines in front of me, and he was having a crack, so worked out right.
Hayden Padden certainly was having a crack, although hampered with brake problems in stage 1.
The first stage was just, first stage of the championship, just getting a groove back in it. But the last 3Ks coming down Darkies here, brake pedal was basically straight to the floor and it wasn't very nice to drive. So we tried to bleed in between stages and it seemed to improve it. So this just seems like a bit of an ear problem with our brakes. We'll see how we go in these next one. They're going to be fast, back to the public road. So hopefully we can keep picking time back on Richard.
And work to do for Jeff Argyle in service if he was going to maintain 3rd place.
Yeah, very happy with that. Like in the first stage, we had no intercom and I had to drive it blind half foot. And the second one, we had quite a bad oil smell, but we've rectified that now. So, yeah, we could have been an easy second, I would say.
Sloane Cox's crew working hard trying to sort out their problems.
After the first stage, during the second stage, I noticed there was a boost leak. So during the second stage, I looked at the boost gauge and it was only boosting at 15 pounds. So now they've got the problem sorted, so back out there full boost for the 3rd stage.
And Dean Sudner was wondering how his luck had once again turned.
Yeah, it hasn't been the start I was expecting anyway. I was hoping to be a bit quicker than that, and sort of haven't got too much of an answer for it. I think it's just a whole lot of little things. We've had to write our own notes for this rally, and sort of having trouble committing to them.
Try 3 right and 3 left. Just try this one, kinks to 4 left plus. No.
Very disappointing. Like we had a good system, with buying the stage notes from the organisers, and then they've gone and changed the system on us, which it'd be like telling everyone tomorrow to drive on the right hand side of the road. It'd be it's just crazy.
Patrick Malley was amazed at his early lead despite that embarrassing miscue at the intersection in stage 2.
Yeah, it's where we wanted to be. We wanted to come into the first 2 stages and stamp our authority if we could, and the stages, they've been perfect, and we've had a good run.
You certainly stamped it in the first stage, but Aaron Cook's come back at you at the second.
Yeah, we had a wee whoopsie in the second stage. We completely missed the corner in sun blindness, and I think it's actually on film, which is a bit of a bugger.
And after the break, we hit the Highlands west of Wairoa on the Taumoana Warehousing Rally, Hawke's Bay. Welcome back to the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. This is day 1, round 1, the Taumoana Warehousing Rally, Hawke's Bay. And while the service crew's headed to the AMP Showgrounds in Wairoa, the car's headed for stage 3, Puteri, the stage formerly known as Waihi, but this year run in reverse and featuring a long 20-kilometre downhill section.
Left 7 right, straighten, left 7 left, brakes.
Well, this downhill section, hopefully Hayden Padden's got the brakes sorted, because coming downhill, brakes are quite critical. But what he has to do now is maintain the pace. He's 8 seconds behind Richard, so he's got to stay in there with Richard Mason. He can't let Richard get away.
So with those early brake problems, this really is a make or break stage for Patton. Power down, trying to peg back that 8-second gap to Mason. Mason has already shown on stage 1 that he loves the pace downhill.
Downhill. 7 right, short 5 left plus and right. Small.
Well, that's one of the big differences between Richard Mason and the rest of them. His pace downhill, extremely fast, very smooth, and he's really on it here.
80. 7 right, 100. A very long 2
Must be a real confidence thing too.
Well, he's got plenty of confidence. You can tell the way he's driving this car. He's driving it very smooth and straight.
How's that for speed down towards the end of stage 3? Hayden Patton's time, what will it be? Remember running in reverse order this time from the previous years?
30, crest to finish 54 right plus 10.
Picking up all that speed on the flat after coming downhill.
That's it.
20 minutes 44.1. What can Mason do at the end of this long stage?
Well, you can see there he's very relaxed in the car. He's got the race face on, and Sarah's calling the notes. Well, these two work very well in the car together. A winning combination.
And to prove it, look at that, 20 minutes, 21 seconds. Wow, that's 23 seconds he's taken out of Patton. Now a 31.2-second lead. Emma Gilmore continued her good form again. Just a couple of seconds off Patton's pace. Still holding third and pulling 15 seconds in front of Argyle. The older Evo 7 was starting to show its age. Argyle lost 52 seconds to the leader over the stage. Despite their extra power, these open class cars were never expected to be as competitive though, so this is still a top performance by the former champ. Two big movers on the stage. Firstly, Dean Subner, 2 places up to 5th behind Argyle.
Well, maybe one of the reasons for that is because this stage has a bit of gravel on top of the surface, but you can see there for Dean it's been swept away, so the road conditions are coming into play. In other words, if you're running further down in the order, it will be to your advantage.
Another one of the open class cars making steady progress now was Glenn Easter. After that slow start on stage 1, he's moved up to 6th.
Well, one thing that you notice here is you have to throw these Group A cars around a lot more, effectively back them into the corner a little bit more, as opposed to the newer cars where you can drive them through the corner. So, in other words, you're driving these cars quite a bit harder.
6 left plus 60.
Two cars in trouble on this stage. Firstly, Chris West having more problems with his gear linkage and will withdraw temporarily at the stage end. Much worse, though, Sloane Cox, whose gearbox self-destructed on the stage.
8 left, don't cut. 5 left. What is
gearbox.
it? Is it? No gears?
Nah.
All gone?
Sloane a bit of bad luck early on in the championship.
Yes, that's right. It's in the last stage, halfway through it, gearbox broken. Now got no gears and really noisy gearbox.
Car's just been put on the trailer, so you're going to come back tomorrow?
Yes, we are. We can drop standard gearbox out of our road car and put it back in the rally car, so we have a standard synchro gearbox for tomorrow.
Unfortunately, it's we've got a gear selection problem, which has been sort of occurring all morning, and it's got to the point where it's given up the ghost altogether now. So we'll see if we can fix it for this afternoon and maybe rejoin.
In the rookie battle, Christchurch driver Matt Jansen continued to lead despite dropping 2 places on this stage. He was now 2 minutes down on the leaders, having a tight battle with 2 other rookies.
Well, it's good to see some new faces in the championship, and this young fella really impresses me. He's quite a good driver. He's got a big future, I think, in the championship.
Kingsley Thompson in the Evo 10 was just 6.5 seconds back and 8th overall. And Stephen Barker still doing a fantastic job at his open class Evo 4 Mitsubishi. 23 seconds back and 9th.
Okay, long 6 left. Long 6
6 left. Yeah. Kings, that was good.
Well, great driver commitment there, and they're enjoying themselves as well. Stephen first came to notice when he did the Fiesta Scholarship, and he made the top 4.
Signs of 6, then 6 left, then 100.
Header Towers, a stage well known to the top drivers, but again running in reverse order this time. Richard Mason extended his lead again and started to look invincible on these roads. Now, there'd been a change to electronically generated pace notes used by most of the crews, which had led to hold-ups and reconnaissance. But remember, Richard and Sarah Mason have been writing their own notes since they drove in the China Rally a few years ago.
And that's one of the major advantages I've had, is the experience of doing all this. Just noticed a little bit of dust there as well. But no, with doing their own notes, they can write them to suit themselves. And with the experience, they put it down on the road and they do a damn good job at doing that.
6 left opens over crest.
Husband and wife combo.
Left front.
They look so smooth.
Left front.
So together behind the wheel. And their time, 12:21. So what can the defending champion Hayden Padden do? Will he try and close that gap or consolidate second place like he had to do last year when Mason had that string of trouble-free runs?
Well, he's 31 seconds behind Richard going into this stage, so he still has an opportunity to try and bridge that gap. But like you said, what does he do? Does he risk putting the car off the road by going for it, or just consolidate second place?
Well, there's his time. He's going to be slower, so it looks like he's got no choice but to consolidate second place. Down by 8 seconds now. That's 39 seconds in front. Richard Mason's lead. Emma Gilmore edging away from 4th place Jeff Argyle on this stage. She was now 46 seconds behind Padden, so 3rd place looked to be the best she could achieve, unless, of course, the 2 top drivers had problems later in the rally. Argyle's co-driver, Philip Deacon, had never done a rally before, never called pace notes, so their 4th place was a real testament to Argyle's driving skill behind the wheel. Another driver showing real determination was Glenn Inkster. The open class driver has his TransLink Evo 6 up to 5th place now. In fact, if he hadn't been for that slow start on stage 1, he would have been challenging Argyle's 4th spot. The gap, 44 seconds. But Inkster's gain had come at the expense of Dean Sumner. Sumner's car was having small ignition issues, but Dean himself was also struggling to come to terms with those pace notes. And after building up a great rapport with co-driver Paul Fallon over the past 3 seasons, a little bit of doubt was creeping in, running in the reverse stages, of course, on those revised notes.
I'll tell you, Clint, there's nothing more important than confidence between driver and co-driver with pace notes.
Kingsley Thompson took over the rookie lead in his Evo 10 by just half a second to Matt Jansen. A great battle promises to continue throughout the entire championship. And how's this for a top effort? Lee Stringer, his ageing Evo 2 Lancer, is the oldest in the open class, yet it pushed that all the way up to 11th place. Patrick Malley was continuing to dominate the Fiesta class in 2-wheel drive overall, now in 10th position. His only opposition coming from Aaron Cook in the Honda. Cook was dominating the open 2-wheel drive class, but he was over a minute behind Malley at this stage. Ben Hunt had retired early on, so just 3 other Group E and Fiestas running. Ben Jagger was second in class. He had a comfortable gap back to 3rd. That was held by Nelson rookie Daniel Harris. Harris, better known for his feats behind the wheel of an Evo 3 Mitsubishi in South Island rallying, was quickly coming to terms with the front-wheel drive Fiesta, as was Dominic Unterberger, 4th, having his first run in the ex-Mark Tapper Fiesta. In the Classics, the Mazda of Ewan Fuge had a handy lead over Mike Cameron after a morning which saw half the Classics withdraw. So, looking at the results at the halfway point, Richard Mason looking good at this stage. Good effort too by Glenn Inkster, up to 5th.
But look at the battle, 7th and 8th place. Matt Jansen, he's only 0.5 of a second behind Kingsley Thompson.
We had a really good stage in there, in the long stage, and it was, made quite a big difference. In the last one, Hayden, I think he pushed pretty hard, and when he took a smaller margin out of him there. At 40 seconds is a nice lead, and it'd be nice just to sort of hold on to that for the rest of the day now.
Yeah, he certainly pulled a stunner out in that third one. Like that last stage here was a shocker on our behalf. There was just a series of issues, and the notes weren't really gelling, but that third one, I didn't think we were going too bad, and Richard just absolutely smoked us.
Emma comfortably third place at the moment. Jeff, I think he's slipped 18 seconds behind.
Yeah, I think Jeff's got a few problems on that, but yeah, we're just sort of, still focusing, I suppose, on the Group N guys, and that's who we're, matching ourselves against. But I feel that getting closer to their pace and just happy in my driving.
Inky, a few problems this morning, but you've moved up to 5th place.
Yeah, the first stage this morning, we just hadn't driven the car for about 4 months, and just didn't drive very good, I suppose, and adapting to the new notes. We're quite slow through the first stage, but from then on, not too bad. Bits of stages we're getting really, really good, and other bits just not as good as I'd like, but we're still going, we're still here, and we'll try and improve on that this afternoon.
So good to see some new faces, and coming up, another new competitor and a new form of power. An exciting development of this year's championship is the arrival of the Skoda Fabia, not just because it's another manufacturer, but because this car is powered by biodiesel. So let's meet the driver, 16-year-old Rangiora student, Matt Summerfield.
Yeah, I did a season last year in a 1300 Starlet, just over South Island rallies in the mainland series, and we did all right, third in class, so I was pretty happy with that.
Your dad's well known in rallying down the South Island. Is he helping you out here?
Yeah, a lot with driving and just the actual keeping your head. Don't worry about what people were saying and what the times are. It's just we're learning here this year.
And the mechanic who runs the car is a Hungarian enthusiast for diesel, Zsolt Szabo, who works for Giltrap Skoda in Auckland.
80% I build a car, yes, but also the guys, they modify it a little bit, I mean the coolant system and the chassis things and the body things, electrical things, they did it. My stuff, actually the engine bay, this was my work actually, yeah.
And diesel engine?
Diesel engine, yes, this PDTDI diesel engine, which is the standard horsepower is 130 horsepower and 310 Newton meter. The car around in a moment, everything is double.
So that's the mechanic. Now let's meet the car, the Skoda Fabia. 1.9 litre turbo diesel powered by Kiwi biofuel.
Now we try to make higher rev as well. This is the next project. We try to pull up to 9,000 rev. In the moment the top rev is 6,000 around. So we try to do 9,000 and then the car will be faster. This is our first race. We need more experience, But the team and the guys, the drivers and the co-driver are very, very good. I am very, very happy with the guys. So I think we have a nice future.
So after the lunchtime service, time to return to a traditional favourite in the Hawke's Bay, Cricklewood. But once again, like so many other stages, run in the reverse direction this year. Under new rules this year too, the competitors may temporarily withdraw, repair a problem and then re-enter the rally. And that's exactly what Chris West had to do.
Well, unfortunately, Chris won't score any points today, but what it does do gives them a bit of an opportunity to test the car and sort it out, as they are doing right now.
3 left plus, short right into 3 left.
Out in front, though, Richard Macing having no problem keeping his lead intact. In fact, he edges another 13 seconds ahead of Patton on this stage. Looking like his day one would finish over a minute ahead of the competition, and no one seemed to have an answer.
Well, they certainly don't, and we've seen this before. Rally New Zealand last year was the one that comes to mind, where Richard Mason was totally dominating. Unfortunately for his competitors, he's doing the same today, and he's just blitzed them, really.
The Sebastian Loeb of the New Zealand rally scene, eh?
Well, he could be. If he keeps this up, and maybe he will be.
Certainly having a good clean sweep of those corners. And what about the changes that Patton made in service? Are they having an effect now?
Well, I don't think so, because Rich is just edging further away. Hayden's struggling with this car a little bit, maybe been one on the road with these conditions. You can see a little bit gravelier now. But really, he's a very comfortable second place, though. He's the best of the rest at the moment. Again, Clint, you see in those shots, he's keeping the car quite smooth. He's a very smooth driver.
34 left lane.
Emma Gilmore had made some progress with her car at service. She actually was the second fastest through the stage. It was now third overall, 38 seconds down on Patton. That also meant that she was pulling away from fourth place Jeff Argyle. Argyle still leading the open class though. Enke was staying in touch with Argyle in sixth place, but dropped a few seconds with his rival through the stage.
And 7 right over Max Crest and 7 left, 7
Dean
right.
Sumner kept up the pressure on Inkster, staying within 5 seconds. More importantly, for the early season points, he was up to fourth in the Group E class, easily ahead of his nearest rival, Matt Jansen.
And 4 right place.
Jansen had moved ahead of Kingsley Thompson on this stage. In fact, Thompson and Jansen had been within 5 seconds of each other and swapping places all day. Now Jansen was the mover, edging out 13 seconds over Thompson.
Well, a very impressive display as well, because the first time he's rallied in North Island is here, and the roads down south are slightly different to they are in the Hawke's Bay.
Certainly has been a good debut for the two rookies and a great debut for Thompson's Evo 10, showing no signs of the early problems which had cost Sloane Cox. And Stephen Barker continued his great effort, keeping in touch with the newer cars up front.
Well, Clint, put it in perspective, this car made its rally debut in 1996, 13 years ago, as a World Championship Group A car.
30, you got 5 left.
Even more amazing was the performance of Lee Stringer in the 1993 Evo 2 Lancer, which despite its age was holding fourth in the open class, 11th overall. Patrick Malley continued to lead the two-wheel drives, an outstanding 10th place overall. And here's the top 5 after stage 5. Once again, Mason dominating the event by 56 seconds from Hayden Patton.
Well, remember, last time was 0.5 between Thompson and Jansen, but now it's 14 seconds in Jansen's favour.
A new challenge now with the Woodlands stage, and this stage hasn't been used on the rally for 4 years and gets very little forestry traffic, so slippery in some places.
Yes, it certainly is. Just saw Hayden slipping off slightly there, but it's a little bit of a goat track, really, with a lot of gravel, so you've got to be pretty precise through here.
His time, 17 minutes 21.8. Just how good is Richard Mason? Look at that set up into the corner.
Well, you don't see too many roads with grass in the middle there, so if you get slightly offline, you get on the grass there, she's all over. This is classic stuff. This is what rallying used to be in these nice little narrow goat track stages, and this is really what sorted a lot of people out.
Mason's time through the stage, 17 minutes 09.4. He's blitzed them again. And once again, Emma Gilmore, second fastest on the stage, 3.5 seconds quicker than Patton, so she remains third overall. Jeff Argyle lost 20 seconds to Emma here. More to the point, he was now coming under pressure, and huge pressure from Enke. But while Glenn Inkster was putting up a fight to catch Argyle, unfortunately he was caught out in the slippery section, and that would be the end of day 1.
Just wanted to get through this stage, but as you can see, it's a real narrow little piece of road, and our car really needs to be driven a little bit sideways, and we just tipped it in a little bit early and collected it, run up the bank, and it's just a soft roll over into the ditch there. So I've already spent some time pulling some things off and having a little assessment of the damage. It's not too bad, but certainly not the way we wanted to start the year, but we'll hopefully get it going tomorrow.
So Dean Sumner moves up into 5th place now, and after being as low as 9th in the morning, it's a bit of rally relief for the Rotorua driver.
Still, I think by the pace here, Dean still might be struggling with a little bit of confidence. In fact, nearly stalled the car there. But 5th place is a good result for them.
So with one stage to go, Mason looks unbeatable. Before we follow the leaders home, let's check out the action down the field in the other classes. It was a matter of survival for the open two-wheel drive cars. Reg Cook survived early problems of the day to finish 17th and 3rd in the class. Second in the class, 16th overall, the diesel Skoda Fabia, in what is obviously a learning curve for the Christchurch team. So it's Cookie once again. Aaron Cook, easily the fastest of the open two-wheel drive cars, finishing 11th overall. Only one classic survived the day, and that was the RX3 of Ewan Fuge. The favourite, Richard Kelsey, crashed. Mike Cameron out with engine problems, and Rob Wiley out with the broken diff mount. 4 of the 5 Fiestas survived the day, though, with Daniel Harris losing a place to drop 4th in class, 14th overall on the last stage. Dominic Unterberger had been improving throughout the afternoon and snuck up to 13th by just 2 seconds on the last stage. Ben Jagger had been as low as 18th in the morning, but pushed himself through the afternoon to be 12th and 2nd Fiesta by the end of the day. But no one could come close to Patrick Malley all day. Fastest Fiesta, fastest two-wheel drive. Certainly he's taken his experience in these cars a long way. Looks promising to defend his title. Even with the odd mistake, he still finishes a impressive 9th overall. In the rookie battle, Josh Marston had steadily worked his way up to 10th overall, 4th rookie by the day's end. Stephen Barker maintained 8th place, 3rd rookie and 2nd in the open class. 7th overall on debut, Kingsley Thompson and the Mitsubishi Evo 10. 2nd in the rookie points for Kingsley. And that top rookie spot, 6th overall, went to Matt Jansen, the Christchurch Casino Rally team. Certainly one of the best performances on debut by a rookie in the championship. So the top 5 battle now was down to the old hands. Dean Subner finishing a day of frustration in 5th place, but at least he was on the points table, unlike Chris West. And Subner also had the satisfaction of 3rd fastest time over the final stage.
And that time will do a lot of good for their confidence as well going into the day 2. Interesting here that Dean Sumner's finally on the road that he's used before. He knows it well.
Jeff Argyle showed he's lost none of his skills, bringing home his old car in 4th. Top finish for Emma Gilmore, fastest on the final stage, 3rd overall. And in the end, Hayden Padden only had a 13-second buffer to Gilmore. The road conditions playing against the defending champion, who was sweeping the road for the rest of the field. But still, 2nd, good for the points. Whether Mason eased off or it was the road conditions, he lost 20 seconds to Gilmore on this stage, but it didn't matter. The final margin was 1 minute 13, a conclusive win on day 1 for Richard Mason.
Richard, well done. The first leg is yours.
Woohoo! Yeah, that's good. Good start.
Well, you really dominated today.
Yeah. It got a little bit interesting in this last stage. The engine was getting a bit hot. I think we filled up the radiator in the last one, and I had to turn off the anti-lag, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass.
So confirming the top guns for day 1 of the championship, Mason, Padden and Gilmore.
And the fastest rookie was Matt Jansen in 6th place. The last time we saw this was Hayden Padden a couple of years ago. Have we got another star South Island driver?
We're hoping to do this right from the start of the rally. Obviously, it's the best way to start the year is to get the first day out of the way. This year, they've changed the points a little bit so that it rewards people for being there for both days of the championship. So we need to make sure that we follow it up tomorrow with another good result.
Yeah, well, it's good that we've been able to hang on to 2nd. It's obviously good points very early on in the championship yet. So not exactly our ideal day. It's all been a very rusty and just a series of little issues that have halted us throughout the day. But, we'll do a bit of work overnight, and I'm sure we can come out fighting tomorrow.
Emma, a bit of damage on the car, but you must be pretty wrapped with the result.
Yeah, very happy to have such a great start to the championship. It was definitely improved over the afternoon and had a few little niggles and stuff, but I suppose it's to be expected when you're just getting back into the swing of things.
And in a successful change to the regulations, great to see former champ Jeff Argyle back and promising more from the open class cars.
Getting used to a new co-driver that's never hopped in a rally car before. It's a big ask, but he's done brilliantly, really. And that last stage is only 500 metres. He lost it for and he's straight back on it again, so he's getting here. He'll be perfect by the next round.
One of the questions people are asking now is, can one of these cars win a round?
They can, and they will.
I'm absolutely ecstatic. We, like I said before, came here to come 10th, came here to win the two-wheel drive. We got better than 10th, and we finished the event really well. Just absolutely fantastic day.
Next week on the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship, Day 2 throws up a wet challenge. And what can the competition do to match Richard Mason's pace?